welcome to the show. I appreciate you tuning in for another brand new review. So what's on deck for you here tonight? Folks, we are talking about a new sci-fi thriller that just got done hitting Max that I am bringing to you here tonight, and it shares similarities with the Quiet Place series and Arcadian. Tonight in movie reviews, we are talking Elevation. But let's not waste any time and jump right on into things. If you haven't seen the trailer for Elevation before, this tells the story of creatures known as Reapers, who appeared one day and wiped out 95% of the Earth's population. The only thing keeping people safe is if they are living 8,000 feet or higher above sea level to where the Reapers cannot follow them. Our story focuses on Will, a father in Colorado who finds out that his son is in dire need of medication for his lungs to keep him alive, and this forces Will to go and make a journey to the town of Boulder to find this life-saving medicine, all the while hopefully finding a way to defeat the Reapers once and for all. And there it is, folks. That is Elevation. Now, like I said, this film shares a lot of similarities with films like the Quiet Place series and Arcadian. If you haven't seen those films before, those movies focused on these group of creatures, aliens, monsters, beings, whatever you want to look at it as, that invade Earth, and with a certain strict set of rules, the humans that are remaining alive are forced to abandon their old way of living to keep themselves and their loved ones alive, whether that be like in the Quiet Place series, where these creatures react to any kind of sound that's being made, and therefore your characters have to stay silent almost the entire time that they are living their lives, whether it's a film like Arcadian, where these creatures come out after dark and therefore it's not safe to be out and about at nighttime and you must stay indoors. Either way, these films all share this connective tissue to where it's basically a post-apocalyptic society to where we've given up a lot of the comforts that we once had and are trying to basically navigate a new way of living. Now, compared to the Quiet Place series, which has always been very emotionally driven, across those three films, we've told various stories of family and about what you do for those people that you love, how far that you are willing to go, and what you'll do to save somebody else. All fantastic, fantastic films for sure. But some might argue that after three films, they can be just a slight bit limiting because we know the way that most of these are going to work out. We can't really have human conversation in these films, or at least what we're used to, obviously, in everyday movies that we're watching. So whether it's the first two films and using a lot of sign language or ending up in spaces to where they can share these short conversations, or maybe it's something like Arcadian to where we do get to see them having, I guess, as normal of an everyday life that you could until folks start really getting tired of the rules and the regulations that are being forced upon them. And these small mistakes end up leading to bigger consequences, not just for them, but for everybody around them. This is not something new that we've gotten, but where Elevation does allow us to kind of see a different side of things is that we just get a little more of that community life of what things would be like after all this terrible tragedy is struck and what the everyday really could be like. You know, we get to spend some time with Will's son and getting to see that he's still a young kid for sure, but like the boys in Arcadian, Nick Cage's son, you know, he's longing for something else than the only life that he's really known. He's not that old. And so he's dreaming of just getting to live, just getting to do all these things that you can't really do, and taking solace in small things like a box of macaroni and cheese. And so when he starts dealing with this sickness that he has, of course, Will's going to do everything in his power to go and save him. And I love Anthony Mackie. I think Anthony Mackie, who plays Will here, is great literally in anything I watch him in, honestly. But he's not really, in my opinion, the driving force here of this film. Instead, when Will goes to make this journey, he brings along two people with him that are also in this town. Nina, played by Marina Baccarat, who you might know from Gotham or Firefly or the Deadpool movies. Nina was a friend of Will's late wife that unfortunately was killed on an expedition trying to find more information out about these Reapers. And so she's harboring a lot of the guilt behind Will's late wife's death, and just in general for not being able to figure out a way for people to like defeat or even harm these Reapers, because Similar to A Quiet Place, what we find out is that there's not really any kind of known weakness for these creatures that are out there. You know, they can use guns and, you know, other implements, but it really just slows them down, doesn't really do much of anything else. Now, in the Quiet Place series, you know, we eventually find out that, you know, this signal, this audio noise can be used to basically like remove their shielding, and then it makes it easier to ultimately kill them. But we haven't really had that luck here in Elevation. So as we see Nina throughout this film, she's still keeping up these experiments of trying to find a way to get past this armor that they have and find a way to ultimately harm and defeat these creatures. Because as Nina points out, it's just not sustainable to keep doing this over and over and over. You know, if they find the medicine, they find these air filters that Will needs for his son, that fixes the problem temporarily, but they're gonna have to do this again. And are they gonna be this lucky if they try to do this in a few more months? Nina wants to find an ultimate stop to it. And that's really what puts Nina at the center of all of this, because she's ultimately the one that wants to help Will to his goal of finding the filters that they need for Will's son. But at the end of the day, she's more concerned about stopping this just in general, because she feels she has to atone for the mistakes that she made. And you can see that she just takes everything so deeply. You know, they bring along Kate, another friend of Will's and his wife that very clearly has more than a friendly interest in Will. And that's kind of played against her between Nina and Kate having these arguments throughout this mission. But it's hard to really know who's right and wrong in these situations because the world is not normal anymore. And Elevation definitely focuses on the same kind of story points that films like Arcadian and the Quiet Place movies do so well, which are those small human moments about everyday life and about the relationships that we have. Will is very, very much still suffering from the loss of his wife. And as he even says himself, he blames Nina for that loss because it's easier to blame her than it is for him to blame himself, even though ultimately that's who he wants to blame, is for letting his wife go and do this mission that ultimately led to her death. So a lot of this film is about healing and about being able to really trust these people who have not wronged us, but have caused wrong to happen to us before. And can we move on to that, to this brighter future? I think that Elevation honestly showed a lot of promise. There are some very tense moments in this for sure, but I think the problem ultimately is that compared to A Quiet Place, where the rules are very, very strict, don't make any sound and you're likely good, we don't have that same kind of structure set up with the Reapers here in Elevation. Besides, stay above this sea level, stay above 8,000 feet is all you have to keep you safe. But if you're under 8,000 feet, there aren't any rules at that point. And at least with A Quiet Place, there were still these rules that, like, okay, they can kind of get through anywhere that you're thinking if they can keep quiet. And the tension, the fears, the scares that we're getting from it is, when is something going to go wrong? And again, I know that's a cheap way of eliciting scares from us as the viewer, but it's effective. You can't argue that it doesn't work. Elevation just doesn't really have that. The Reapers show up and it's just a simple case of the Reapers can detect like the O2, the oxygen that we're all breathing basically. So there really isn't a way to mask that much, honestly. These characters are always in danger. And while that is different from, again, the Quiet Place and Arcadian series, I think the problem is that the human drama that's there, while it's good, it's just not enough to make up for the shortcomings here of the creatures and the way that they're featured here in this film. There are some exciting battles for sure. I'm not going to argue that, but at the end of the day, it just doesn't seem to have the same, I don't know, impetus. It doesn't feel like there's the same rush to get to the bottom of this ultimately. And that could just be me. I'm very curious what y'all think about that, and you'll have to let me know in the comment section here for sure, because I don't think Elevation is a bad movie. It's just not on the same level of some films that have had the same exact kind of plot points that have done it much stronger. And I mean, when we know that we're likely going to get another Quiet Place film in the next couple of years, and y'all know I really, really liked Arcadian. You know, now I can't remember if I had it in my top 10 of last year, but if it wasn't, it was for sure like in my top 15. But while I really, really did enjoy Arcadian, This doesn't feel up to the level that put out either, because I know a lot of folks are really impressed by that one as well too. And realistically, I'd find Elevation sitting third if we're going to compare these three series. But with that said, though, compared to the Quiet Place franchise and more in line with Arcadian, I do feel there's high sequel potential here with Elevation. This is the kind of franchise to where you could easily pivot away from Anthony Mackie and Morena Baccarat's characters in this film and focus completely on a different set of people, and you would lose nothing of the sorts at all. There's a critic out there, Richard Newby, I believe, who had talked in his review about how this seemed very reminiscent of like the Skyline series. And I kind of do really see that, to where I'd be more interested in exploring this world more and what the other side of the country, other countries just in general, were doing when these invasion of the Reapers happen. I actually think that there is a franchise here within. So who's to say? If it gets enough good reviews, I imagine this could be something that gets explored in another film or two. But I'm very curious of what y'all thought of this one. It's available on Max now, so go check it out. Come back to the comment section and let me know if I'm off base with the comparisons to A Quiet Place and Arcadian. But get subscribed, folks. We got more great reviews coming your way. I want to get back into more and more and more movies. Been doing a lot of TV, so let me know in the comment section what you're wanting me to check out. And of course, get subscribed at linktr.ee/T Scary Movie. If you get subscribed to my link tree, that's going to be access to the YouTube page for the video versions of the show, your favorite podcasting platforms for the audio-only versions of the show, my Letterboxd page for written reviews and movie rankings throughout the year, to my TikTok page for full episodes, movie news, and movie premieres, my Twitch page for horror gaming, and my Fangoria shop page. You're going to enjoy a 20% discount off anything in the Fangoria shop. Take advantage of that, folks. Hit that subscribe button. I got more great reviews coming out your way. We are hitting back into some classics. We are going back to the Scream franchise, to The Howling, to Leprechaun, Puppet Master. I'm jumping into a bunch. I don't want y'all to miss any of that at all. But that is going to do it for me here tonight. I appreciate y'all tuning in. My name is T. We've been talking scary movies. Stay scared.